Nearly 2 years into the pandemic, our community is navigating a new normal, especially for Hoosiers struggling with addiction and recovery. The shutdown led to isolation and a lack of recovery tools during an already mounting drug pandemic. And some new numbers show us just how the pandemic shifted this fight. We're seeing it here. In 2019, the CDC reported 1,704 overdoses in Indiana. In 2020, the agency reported 2,268 overdoses in the state. That is a 33% increase, and the numbers are climbing in 2021, most harshly in central Indiana.
At least 3 times a week, somebody comes beating on her door asking for Narcan. Nobody's able to stop it. You know what I mean? The drug pandemic.
Tonight, I go one-on-one with a Hoosier who overdosed and survived. She explains her journey through this pandemic, and I also find out what the state is doing to keep more Hoosiers from dying. This is Emily Bailey, a 26-year-old Columbus mother of 2, wife, and a Hoosier in recovery.
You're just not thinking about it. So it's only an escape for a minute, though. And whenever you sober up, it's still all right there. You're going to deal with it again, so you're going to get high again. But now you're getting high because you will get sick.
That's the start of addiction. Heroin, meth, prescription drugs, you name it. By 15 years old, Emily was trying it all.
My reasons was the depression. I was trying to escape how I felt at the time. You know, the self-pity.
For nearly 10 years, Emily was shooting up, swallowing pills, until one afternoon she wasn't.
I can think back to that time and I can see my 2-year-old screaming at me on the floor. Like, I see that.
Emily's husband unexpectedly came home for lunch to an overdosed wife and a helpless toddler.
A living hell, being on drugs for me.
Thousands of Hoosiers face the same reality, and in the pandemic, thousands more have overdosed and died.
I still got friends that are dying.
The state health department found there was a 41% increase in deadly overdoses in 2020 compared to 2019. Most of that happened in central Indiana. Counties like Hendricks, Marion, and Hancock saw anywhere between 50 to 145% increases in deadly overdoses.
People in recovery were definitely struggling.
IUPUI psychology professor Melissa Siders is studying these new deadly drug trends.
Having the pandemic coincide with the opioid epidemic has really created a perfect storm for people who are in treatment, who have not yet entered treatment, or who are in longer stages of recovery from opioid use disorder.
Siders is also a researcher with the state's campaign, The Grand Challenge, which studies opioid addiction and recovery. She found newer pandemic resources like telehealth benefited some addicts who now access care and connection 24/7.
Individuals who were struggling with increased mental health difficulties during this time showed trends of increasing substance use later on. If substances are available and a person is isolated, it becomes a really big risk factor.
We are concerned.
Indiana's drug czar, Douglas Hutzinger, tells me one specific drug is adding to the risk.
Just 0.25 milligrams of fentanyl is enough to be a lethal overdose. And we're finding it not just in opioids, but also in stimulants, methamphetamines being laced into cocaine, and also being pressed into pills. Extremely lethal.
Hutzinger says nearly every deadly overdose in Indiana during the pandemic included fentanyl, a synthetic opioid.
Naloxone saves lives.
Now he's equipping Indiana to fight it and the drug trade.
Indiana was one of the first states in the country to fund naloxone for EMS, and that's first and foremost. The earlier that we can reverse that overdose, the better chance of survival.
Today, Emily fights for survival.
Do you face temptation today?
Yeah, I face temptation today. Yeah, every day.
What does that temptation look like?
It looks like neighbors, that aren't doing the right things. There are still times like getting on the interstate. It's a trigger. Sometimes. You want to get it?
But she's found ways to cope. Among them, her newborn baby girl, Maylin, and her eldest daughter, Ava, now in kindergarten, plus her husband.
There you go.
3 years of sobriety is a testament to her journey.
Your worst day clean is better than your best day high. Jump up, jump up. There is life after dope. There is life after dope. You're so happy.
And so as thousands just like Emily deal with recovery, drug use, and overdoses, state and local officials are working to assist in both pandemic and addiction recovery. Earlier this month, Governor Eric Holcomb announced a $1.7 million investment to organizations. Those groups are fighting the drug epidemic. Downtown Indy's Recovery Cafe was among the recipients who will use that money to help Hoosiers toward a new path. Right now on Fox59.com, you can find my digital exclusive with the organization about their mission, resources, and future plans. There you will also find this, our questionnaire in partnership with Mental Health America Indiana. It's to help you identify if either yourself or a loved one may need to discuss substance addiction and treatment. And you can also text the word addiction to the number that you see on your screen right now, and you will get this story sent straight to your phone.